Hello, this is Diane with Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com, and I am working with some of the January and February 2022 celebration products, as well as some other items for January, and I wanted to hop on to show how I made this card. I got the idea from Heather Harold. It was on Pinterest, and I followed over there, and I just thought it was such a great way to use the awesome Otters, which is a product that you can actually earn for free. It's in the celebration brochure for January, February 2022, and with a $50 purchase in the US, then you can get this stamp set for free. Some of the other products that I used for this card were some retired products because that's what I had on hand. I used the Seaside folder on this one, and that one's retired. The High Seas is also retired, but you could use those. Also, I saw in the January through June 2022 mini catalog, they have a background stamp called Gentle Waves, and you could also just stamp that on the pool party thing layer at the back. And so that's what I used. I used some retired DSP, which was from the Subtles collection, for a background. But there is also in the celebration catalog this free with a $50 purchase called Simply Marvelous, and there is some designer series paper in here that it looks like it's kind of granite or marbledy on one side, and the other side is kind of a satin like water looking finish, and I could have used that. I just didn't have it in time for my class, so I used what I had. But these are some beautiful colors, and so I did get this to create some more cards. And so this is two of the celebration items that you could use to create this. I also used the Tasteful Labels dies. I used the banner cut stitched label because it fit perfectly for around its birthday time sentiment from the stamp set. And then the circles I actually punched with my retired 1 3/4 inch punch, but I really love it. But you could use the layering circles that is closest to that 1 3/4 inch to cut out 3 white circles. So now that I've gone over the products, let me go ahead and show you go through the dimensions. Don't forget that you can also go to my website at www.dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com and be able to get the measurements there as well. I do have a link, or after this video is done, I will place the link to this video in that blog post for January 2022. So the pieces that we will need is a thick basic white cardstock piece that is cut at 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4 in landscape to create the card base. The pool party, I did cut this at 5 1/4 by 4 inches out of pool party cardstock, and this is what I did emboss with the Seaside folder that I had. And if you're using the regular just standard folders in the Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine, you place your paper inside of the folder the way that you want it to go. You will use the number 1 base, the platform, and then you will use 1 cutting plate, which is the number 2, I think. And then you'll place, or no, it's number 3. And then you'll place your folder. Make sure that the hinge of your folder is the one going into the machine. Sometimes when you place it so that the open end is going into the machine first, it can kind of bunch up and it might break that spine. I've had that happen once before with the Sizzix machine. I haven't had it happen this time. And then you'll place another of the cutting plates, number 3, on top of that, and you'll run it through, and that's how you will get your piece that is embossed. You can place that where the waves are kind of coming out, or so that the waves are kind of going in. It's just up to you what kind of look you're going for. And then I used a Bermuda Bay. This one is 4 7/8 by 1 7/8 inches. And then the Designer Series paper, I'm using a piece of last year's celebration paper. This one is in Bermuda Bay. On my examples, I used from the Subtles collection, the Pool Party. Something just that fits with the color scheme that you're going for and what you may have, or if you need some of these products, you can shop through my website, and there is a link on my blog to that. This piece is 4 3/4 inches by 1 3/4 inches. And then I took just a little scrap piece and cut it. I think this one was maybe 1/2 inch or 3/4. Let me see. It's 3/4 of an inch by 4. And because I had so many scraps left over after cutting these pieces for my class, I just thought it would give a little bit of character inside the card, and then you can stamp your message inside there. And like I said, I did cut 3 of the circles, 1 3/4 inch circles, to stamp my otters on, and also to color those. I also used some scrap pieces of basic white. This one, the larger one, I did for the hats so that I could cut out the color and cut out the 3 hats to go on the otters. And then there was another piece to stamp the sentiment on, which is "It's birthday time." And so let me move some of this stuff out of the way. I did want to show some of how I put this together. So I wanted to get mainly the heads of the otters as close to the top as I could, so that the hats would be kind of at the top. And I used the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I just inked that up. And remember, you don't have to push down very hard on these ink pads. If you do, you tend to get ink down inside instead of just on the raised part, and then it's harder to clean, and it also makes it where you can have smudges and little rocking pieces, like where you rock the stamp and it leaves a piece. So there's one, and then I just took all 3 of them and kind of put them up here, kind of towards the top. And this other one is the one that's kind of swimming on its back. And just kind of push down. So it's hard to kind of see on my, I need to change out my paper on my Stampin' Pierce mats. I really like how it helps me to get a better image to stamp on that, but I need to change those out. So again, this is the bigger piece, and you need 3 hats to go on the 3 otters, and so I just stamped those. And then on this other piece, I stamped the "It's Birthday Time" from this stamp set. And then I just kind of did that in the middle. That way I could cut that out. So let me move those off to the side. And because I'm trying to cut down on some of the time that it takes to do these things, I did go ahead and I went ahead and cut its birthday timeout with that die from the Tasteful Labels. And I also colored the otters and the hats and cut the hats out. So just to save time. Now there are many ways you can color these. They're on my example cards. I used actually the watercolor pencils and I colored it in, and then I used the blender pens. And blender pens actually kind of go over your watercolor pencils, and they kind of blur those lines that are kind of left when you're coloring with pencils. And then you can just wipe those off on your paper and it cleans it off. So that's one way to color, is with the watercolor pencils. There is also the Stampin' Write markers that you could use to color, and the Stampin' Blends that you could color the images in with. The blender pens are alcohol-based markers. You would use the Memento Tuxedo Black to stamp, and then you would use the light and dark, if you choose to give some depth and shading. The Stampin' Write markers are a dye-based, just like the ink pads, and so you could use those in coloring. There's not as much shading with those as there are with the blender pens. So those are just a few of the ways that you can do that. So let me go ahead and, oh, I grabbed the wrong one here. Hold on. I wanted the one that I already had things on. Now, on mine, I gave a lot of depth. There wasn't a lot of instruction on what I saw on Heather's example that she put out there for this card. So I'm going to add this little strip on the inside using the Stampin' Seal Plus. I tend to like the way that it rolls off better than the Stampin' Seal. I don't have the finesse for that one. You can use whatever adhesive you normally use, the Tombow white glue or whatever glue dots, runners, adhesives that you use. And I do not recommend using the Seal Plus or a tape runner on pieces that have been run through the embossing folder, because that tends to break down the fibers of the paper, and it tends to grab a hold and tear the paper. So I wouldn't recommend that, and I wanted to give a little bit more depth. If you don't want that because you're going to be sending it through the mail, then you could use glue dots, but I did use some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of mine, and I try to give it, or put it where it doesn't sink in as much as like when you're mailing it or when it's in an envelope for a little while. I wanted to make sure that it would still hold up and not sink in the middle. So I put these kind of spread out. And, excuse me. Then this has a little bit of a border. I just kind of hold it up, figure out where that border is before I lay it down. And then I put that down. And then I'm going to adhere these two pieces. I like to make sure that my paper is going to stick and not fall off over time. This one has just a small border around it. This Stampin' Seal Plus, it is very strong. So this I did glue down straight to the embossed piece. Now if you just used a background stamp like the one that's in the new mini catalog, then you wouldn't have to worry about the paper peeling, because that's mainly just when it's embossed. And then I kind of put this down towards the bottom of the front piece, and then the circles, I did add dimensionals behind that as well. I wanted it to kind of pop. Turn over. I'm also going to pop up the sentiment for its birthday time. But I'm going to use the mini dimensionals. Sorry about that. For that, as well as the birthday hats. Now the birthday hats, I primarily want to put the dimensional on the top part of it. Because I'm going to have it glued to the top of the circle where the head is. So I want to just be able to have that laying flat on there. But I will go ahead and put 3 mini dimensionals on that. So I'll add the I want to start with the one standing up. I'm going to put him in the middle, and then I can gauge kind of where to place the others. And you can put them all in a line, or you could move them up and down however you want to do it. One of the ladies at my class had kind of put hers in a different pattern, and it really stood out very well. The host for our January class wanted to have some cute cards for birthday cards for kids, and so that's what we were working on. I think I'm going to move that one up a little. All right, so then I'm going to place the hats. I think I'm going to put that one over here. And there we go. And then the It's Birthday Time sentiment. And I just kind of put that down here. I think I'm going to move it over to the middle since I moved that one down. And so you get to have kind of a unique looking fun card, and kids love animals, and of course those who are young at heart love the animals as well. So this was my January one of my January class cards, And I hope that you will go over and check out my blog at www.dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com. And you can shop for the products through a link on my website. You can also check out other projects that I have done and made over the last couple of years. I started venturing out into blogs and videos in 2020 when the pandemic hit, because a lot of the people coming to my classes couldn't attend. So it's new, and I'm trying to grow and make it better. If you would like to reach out to me, you can reach out to me through my blog or my Stampin' Up website, which is dianediecutdivas.stampinup.net. And I hope that you will come back and view on my video channel. If you would subscribe to my channel, that helps me grow. And also, if you click the bell icon, it will let you know when I upload a new video. I appreciate your time, and thank you for visiting.